Hi guys, Rishi Sunak was out promoting the idea that the Tories care about house building, but at the same time care about local communities having a say and making sure that the green belt is protected. This is a lame attempt at fighting against Labour policies of building more houses to keep the Lib Dems at bay, who are against building on the green belt, and finally trying to keep NIMBY Tories on board too. But this prepared speech he delivered to Sky News made zero sense. Have a listen.
Well, I'm really pleased to confirm that the government is on track to deliver its manifesto commitment of 1 million new homes over this parliament. That's great news, but we're not going to stop there because we want to make sure everyone who wants to own their own home can do so. But it's important that we do that in the right way, and that means building houses in the right places with the support of local communities, not concreting over the countryside. So we're making it easier for people to expand homes upwards and outwards.
Sorry, upwards and outwards? Is he talking about extensions here? Is this a bit like Boris Johnson's 40 new hospitals? We're actually not going to build 40 new hospitals. We're going to paint some of them. We're going to add an extension to others, and we're going to call them new hospitals. So is this a case of Rishi Sunak's government is going to allow people to build an extension in their loft or on the side of their house, and then that would be a new house? And see, we have built a new house. Well, technically it's not the same as the old house, but it's not a new house. My God.
Making it easier to build on brownfield sites with more investment, and we're investing in the planning system. So taken together, that's a practical approach that will mean more people can own their own home, but we're doing that in the right way.
The other manifesto pledge was 300,000 new homes a year. Does that still stand?
Well, we are making good progress towards that, and actually...
That's a no. He could have easily said, yes, of course we're going to stick with that pledge, but he didn't. So that's a no. So they're not going to stick with that pledge. Now, I don't know if 300,000 is enough. It could be that 400,000 would be sufficient or 500,000 new homes would be necessary. But the Tories set their own pledge of 300,000 and, well, they're not even reaching that bar. You know, Rishi Sunak has abandoned that target. They set targets and then they fail to meet them, and then the next time they just don't talk about the target. They ignore the question. Why did you set the target if you have no intention of meeting it?
Actually, if you look at what's happened over the last few years, we've seen some of the biggest years for new housing supply that we've seen in decades. And actually in the last year that we have figures for the highest number of first-time buyers in over 20 years. So,
is anyone convinced by this sort of fake enthusiasm? It's really excited about these things. Is it a way to cover, to cope? Look, we're not doing anything at the moment, but if I appear enthusiastic about not doing anything at the moment, maybe it will convince voters that I'm actually doing something.
we are making progress. I'm proud of that progress, and we're not stopping there. But we've got to do that in the right way. I don't want to concrete over the countryside. That's something that's very special about Britain. I also don't want to ride roughshod over the views of local communities and their locally elected representatives. That wouldn't be right either. That's what the Labour Party wants to do. I don't think that's the right thing to do. We want to build in the right places. So that's more brownfield, expanding upwards and outwards, densifying our inner cities. Those are all practical, sensible ways to continue delivering homes. Our record on this is absolutely fantastic. As I said, 2.2 million homes since 2010, 1 million over this Parliament delivered, but we're not stopping there.
But it's not enough. It doesn't matter how many, and I've said this before, you can talk about we spent 100 million here or 5 billion there. Is it enough? Obviously it's not enough. So there's no point talking about 2.2 million new homes since 2010. It's not enough. Now, isn't it funny how the Tories are now coming out saying, vote for us. You remember, we're the party that will make sure that you have a new home. But they're balancing contradicting positions. Because they want to keep the NIMBYs happy. Not in my backyard, people. So they need to build more social housing. Because the population is increasing. Young people can't afford to get on the property ladder. So you need to build more social housing. Social and affordable housing. But the places you want to build those houses, the local community don't want them. So you're in contrast with the NIMBYs, the people who are Tory voters, saying, no, I don't want this development in my area. Then, you know, if you want to build more houses, you of course have to make it easier for those who are doing the work to do the work. So one thing is legislation, but another is actually getting the workers they need. The construction companies are crying out for labour. They can't get the staff they need. They can't get the workers. So this is a problem. And of course, that's down to Brexit for the most part. So the Tories and Rishi Sunak are talking big, but they're not actually going to achieve anything. They're saying, yeah, we're going to do this, 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 and this. Trust us. We've been in power for 13 years. We haven't done anything really, but in the last year, before the general election, we're going to really start working. We've been sitting on our arse for the last 13 years, but in the last 6 months before we are eventually kicked out, we're going to start working. Does anyone actually believe this? Does anyone really believe Rishi Sunak and Michael Gove and others? One of the ideas was to turn shops into residential properties. Okay, but that's not going to help high streets. And also, I think many people don't want to be living in those areas. This thing about, well, we're going to make it easier for people to build extensions. How does that help a housing crisis? These are just post-it ideas. Just stick something on the wall. It might look good, but we don't actually implement it. It's all a bit pointless. But it's just to try and keep conflicting interests happy. And you won't be able to. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.